Hey everybody, welcome to Your Unpaid Therapist.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Your Unpaid Therapist.
I'm not getting paid. I didn't even get a donut.
Oh, that's sexy though. I like it.
I'm Valerie Milagros Ortiz.
I don't know. I am your host, Ali Kona. She's away. Brad Ford.
This is Your Unpaid Therapist. Shoo-wah, cha-cha.
Shoo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba.
Oh my God, we're back again. Brothers, sisters, everybody sing. It's my sexual.
Whoa! Yeah!
Original. Yeah. It's my everything you need. You better rock your body right. Everybody.
Yeah! Rock your body! Yeah!
Matt is back. All right.
Y'all are very... what is it? They do the things in there?
Oh my God.
That's what it is. You know it.
Oh my gosh,
You
I
know
love
it. I will stand Kevin forever. I love him. He was my favorite. He and AJ, because, well, that
He's
track.
a bad boy.
He's a bad boy. That track. AJ tracks. He like did an Instagram video recently. He tried to say something. It was really sweet, but he like, in my name, I forgot what his real name is. He was like, I was like, I don't want to hear your real name. I just want you to be AJ.
I love it.
Oh, man.
So we have him back in the room.
Yes.
I love it. And there's so many juicy topics that we get to do with you, which we purposely kind of saved.
Yeah.
Because they're like, yes, we get Matt, and we get to get into it.
The messy stuff.
Yes.
But of course, do you want to?
Oh, so today what we wanted to talk about is, we got to bring up the Barbie movie, you guys, and patriarchy. Basically, feminism, toxic feminism. It's not what people think. So we want to get into that a little bit, and I think it'll inform all of us, males and females.
I'm excited to learn.
Thank you. I feel like you're going to be a good resource.
Feminine, I don't know about
Okay.
feminine. We'll see.
Okay, so then, let's get into our Never Have I Ever.
You're right there.
Okay.
All right, let's shuffle. And Matt, since you are a guest, except I have one specifically that I wrote for
Jesus.
you.
Okay.
Okay, but go ahead. Pick one.
This one.
Okay. Wait, you gotta read it.
I'm supposed to read it. Oh.
Yeah.
Never have I ever, was I a high school jock groupie at a sports event at my school? Yes and no. I didn't think I was, per se. It's so funny. I was just telling y'all about a party I went to last night, and now I'm like, how do I be a cheerleader for this gay team? Because I am a groupie now. But I was a high school mascot.
Aww.
So I was Bruno the Longhorn. One of the few things I'm conceited about. I was an amazing mascot. I was so good. I could do cartwheels. I could do round-offs, and I did skits.
How does one become a mascot?
You dream. You dream really hard. That's what no, seriously, it was a dream. With the town over, they had a mascot. They were the Ardmore Tigers, and they had a cat called Top Cat. And I went to a game one time, and I went, because I thought I was going to transfer and go to that school. And part of me kind of wishes I would have, but whatever, it all worked out. But I went, I want to be Top Cat. And we just had Bruno the Longhorn. But they didn't do, Bruno he just kind of stood there. He did the cheers with the cheerleaders and it was usually like a girl doing a cheerleader. And I was like, no, I don't want it. Bruno's his own thing. And so it became a thing. My father even made it was this bicycle with this wood shell around it, and they call it the Bruno Mobile. And I'd press a button and smoke would blow out the back of it.
Wow.
It was to this day. I just went back home for a funeral last weekend, and I'm in Lone Grove Free Will Baptist Church, and I'm walking out, and they're playing, Amazing Grace on the thing because it's very Southern. Well, I didn't grow up Baptist, but I grew up Catholic. But still, I'm walking out of this church, and someone says, "Well, Matt Marr, best Bruno we ever did have." I'm like, yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
That is
Anyway.
so amazing.
Yeah. Were y'all groupies?
No, I wasn't, and my story would never even be that amazing if I was. I know you had to have been.
Oh, totally.
100%.
Mine was not that amazing either. I just was the girl that was at all the baseball games and was boys in tight pants. Oh my God. It was so obvious because I was literally at every single game. I'd be like, go Petey.
You try to have school spirit. You don't have school spirit.
Not at all.
You got that D spirit.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
She did.
Dang. All right, well, on that note,
Go ahead. Never
please.
have I ever what?
You know what? I already know which one I picked for you, so I'm just
Okay.
gonna pick it and pretend that I'm reading it.
Okay.
Never have I ever turned down back alley side sex.
I have.
I know you
I
have. I
But
haven't.
in my defense, I was in Europe. I just had this fear that if I had sex in this alley with this guy, that my mother would hear, I would get arrested, and my mother would get a call and say,
God.
your son was sucking dick in an alley in Vienna. And my mother would probably never recover from that. I could see it being in the Lone Grove Ledger in the paper and it becoming an international. I imagine this international scandal.
Oh my God.
So I couldn't do it. Now,
Bruno the Longhorn, sucking dick. Oh my God, I would die.
yes. Now in my
Yeah.
20s in West Hollywood, maybe.
No, but I like the story of how you told him. No, he didn't even speak English.
No, so it's a very long. I won't go
But
into the long
just
story,
get to the
but
tagline.
basically this was in Vienna. And most people speak Deutsch or German there, and
Okay.
we figured out that he kind of spoke a little bit of Italian. I spoke a little bit of Italian. His name was Adolfo. I was a little tipsy from European beer because it's a stronger beer,
Okay.
and basically. We kind of made out at the bar, and I thought through language that he lived a block. He was telling me I live a block away, and I went, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. And then he started biting on my neck, and I'm like, okay, let's go. And so we're like walking to his apartment or wherever he lives, I think. And then we stop like in this kind of little back alley inlet area. And he like kind of pushed me against the wall. And I was like, I know. I was like, yes. I was like, all right, it's a little pit stop. And we're naked out and we're having this moment. And then suddenly like he's trying to unzip my pants. And I'm like, no, 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 no. And then his dick is already out.
Ooh.
Sneaky snake. It's already ready. And I'm like, oh, no, no, no. But a little bit of yes, yes, yes. And so we're making out. And so then he looks at me and he's like doing that thing where guys hold your face when they kiss you. And it's like really sweet. And I was like, oh, so like we're making out. And he looks at me and he has these really pretty eyes. And he looks at me right in the eyes and he goes, he called me Matteo because that's, and he's like, Matteo. And I was like, Adolfo. And then I know Adolfo. And then he looks around me and he says, Matteo, I love you. And I went, what? And he said,
love bombing.
And he said, I love you. And I'm like, we just met like 20 minutes ago. And out of the corner of my eye, I see a taxi cab coming down the hill. And I just go, taxi, taxi. And I go to the taxi. He's running after me, pants down, huge erection, just going, Matteo, Matteo. And I'm like, yeah, and I open the cab door and I turn and look at him. He's like, Matteo, I love you. And I open the door and I look at him and I say, Adolfo, 9, which means no in German. And I just said 9. And I get into the car and I drive off into the night.
What movie am I hearing?
9. So.
Gosh, you know what I was thinking as you're telling this story, like, I have not had an exciting life. Like,
Yes, you have.
No, like I kind of haven't. Like, not in that sense. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like when you're older and you're talking to your grandkids or whoever, they're gonna like you have such amazing stories to tell that are so interesting and funny, and you do too. And just all the like fun, crazy things you guys do. And I'm like listening to this, like. Damn, I'm pretty boring.
See, I listen to you.
Damn, sheltered Puerto Rican.
No, I think you just don't do dumb shit, and we do. Yeah. We do dumb stuff.
You gotta live a little. Shit. Oh my God, Adolfo, if you're watching this.
Adolfo, 9.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Good.
I just realized that's such an amazing transition in today's topic because I mean, granted, it was like boy on boy love, right? But he just didn't get it. And he was like, I love you, I love you. And Val and I were talking about how boys, a lot of times, they're so in their,
masculine?
And they're masculine, their hormones. They don't understand, like, no sometimes.
Okay.
Yes. And so, I mean, because we want to talk about toxic femininity, and in toxic femininity, it's
Mhm.
actually the woman trying to abide by this standard that men have set for them, like over the centuries of being quiet and cute and don't cause too much trouble. Like, you can have an opinion, but not too much of an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And that applies, like, during sex and stuff like that, too. Like, some women are not taught to become out of their shell. And anyways, it just reminded me of that. And I've had my...
Perfect segue.
Yes. Yes.
So good. So do you want to start with that? Alicorna's been reading this amazing book, and it goes into all kinds of details and, like, amazingness, or do you want to get into Barbie?
Let's talk about Barbie. Let's talk about
Barbie.
Okay, you actually brought up the snub thing, so I'm gonna let you talk about it.
Yeah, so it was interesting to me because all over the grams and all the socials they're talking about America Ferrera got nominated, and Ken got nominated. Ryan Gosling, not Ken. But Barbie didn't, which I'm reading the comments because that's like the most fun. And by the way, unpopular opinion, warning. I didn't love the Barbie movie. Like, I wasn't like blown away. I think also too, it was so hyped up before I watched it. And I love musicals. I friggin' love Ryan Gosling. And so I'm thinking I'm just gonna and I heard about the America monologue, and I'm just like, yes. I thought I was gonna cry because everybody talked about them crying. I know. And then I was like, it's cute. Ooh, don't at me. So I wasn't like, oh my God, I didn't get all these Oscar noms. Like, okay. We said, like, Greta, she was snubbed 100% for everything that she did, and like director and the phenomenon that it was. But Ryan,
that's the part that I think everyone's like,
Ken got it.
Yeah, like, it just goes to show that, like, men get this automatic, like, recognition, or they're just looked and seen as, a little bit more important than women.
I mean, it's literally the plot of Barbie.
100%.
It's the
which is what we were talking about.
That is what's pretty...
Like a sting.
Yes, that is what... Especially the Greta Gerwig thing. I feel like that... I mean, look, in the Oscars this year, like in other ways, like the most diverse nominees we've had. I forget her name. Killers of the Flower Moon, like first Native American woman nominated. So... It's not all bad. I think if you look at the whole totality, like, there's more good from the Oscar nominations. For me, it's more of, I mean, it's not even about, but it's a whole other side conversation. As a comedic actor, I always get pissed how, like, I mean, but that's the point of the Oscars. Like, they want you to... I knew Margot Robbie wasn't going to get nominated because you've got to, like, put on a fake prosthetic nose and, like, kill yourself or have your children die to be nominated for an Oscar. Like, that's the kind of performances they highlight as
true.
this kind of more academic or whatever. That's better. And, like, I still feel like, I heard a boob.
I heard a boob, too. We had a little boo-boo, but we're back, guys.
Difficulties, yeah.
We're back.
Yeah, so what you were saying is...
that's a whole other thing, the comedy thing.
Yeah,
but it's not a whole other thing. I think that is a lot of it, because I even felt that way. I was just like, okay, and we talked about this. So I was like, I kind of get it. Like, I don't think Margot did anything crazy spectacular that I would be like, yeah, poor girl didn't get an Oscar nom. Like, no offense. Like, I thought it was lovely, but I'm not like, eh. But the fact that
the director of that, too.
Well, for 100% that Greta didn't is like, just
and that
ridiculous.
Ryan did,
and that Ryan did. Then I'm like, wait a minute, okay, y'all, like, what are we doing?
And then you were saying that, like, the song "I'm Just Ken" got nominated, but not the Billie Eilish song.
No, that one did. They both got nominated. They both got nominated for an Oscar.
But even still, even the Ken song,
I'm just Ken,
which is great. I actually think that song should be nominated for an Oscar. I think the Billie Eilish song should too, because I think that's hard to write as a musical. It's hard to do musicals.
That's a good point.
I think it was so believable the way it was done. But yes, it's definitely it's like, it does make, at least I felt like, what more does Greta Gerwig have to do? Like, you directed this movie and it's just, it wasn't Me Too if just a couple of the actors were nominated. It's nominated for best screenplay. It's nominated for best costumes. It also made $1 billion and made more than any film this year and totally revitalized the movie industry, which is also kind of what people could argue and say the Oscars aren't about. But it just, I was pissed a little bit.
Yeah. Well, also too, that was the third movie she's ever directed. Like, she's directed 2 indies. This was her first big movie.
So do you think that's why?
Great job.
So do you?
I hope not.
Maybe. I hope not. Well,
maybe.
Right, but I'm wondering if it's like, well, she hasn't paid her dues, or I don't fucking know.
It
doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. But anyways.
Yeah, there is that though. That, like, dude, and let's be honest, like the Oscars, like a lot of people that who are people voting on the Oscars are a lot of older white men.
Right.
Full stop.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, there is, I think some people of color have been like, everybody's talking about Barbie, but they're not recognizing some of the great nominees we had this year. And so I think that is, both things can be true.
Right. Yeah, I did see something that said that because America Ferrera apparently got interviewed and like, she's supposed to be living in this like amazing moment, like you're finally nominated, and for us actors and stuff, it's like, this is the dream, right? And like the first question, and I don't remember what publication did it, but that they gave her were like, so how do you feel about the 2 white women that didn't get nominated? And it's just like, you know what I mean? That's not what they said, but that's like how it was.
But it's like, hell, I've worked my butt off. Like, here I am.
And it's like, she didn't even get to like celebrate the
have
moment.
Her moment.
Yeah, it's like, oh, now I have to feel bad for the people who didn't. Okay, so let me give them their moment. And she had an amazing reply, but according to what they were saying, but I was just like, that totally sucks, because you have to do that thing of like, you can't even like stand in that power, and which sometimes we relate to like men and women, like a man will be like, I did this, da da da, and the woman's like, yeah, like
we have
okay,
but we're conditioned to be humble. Right? Like, it's okay if a guy is like feeling himself and giving himself props. There's a fine line of like cocky and just you're proud, and it's okay for the guy to be proud and I accomplished this thing. But again, if a girl is proud of what she did, it's like, she's full of herself. And so that's actually why I wanted to bring up today's topic is toxic femininity, is because there's just so many things. Even myself, men and women are conditioned to think a certain way. We think nothing of it. So then when one woman does blow the whistle, everyone's like, she's being dramatic, and it's not the case. So.
And how would you relate to that with like the feminine, masculine energy, no matter what? Like, because then it's like, then you get into like a masculine, energetic woman, finding herself in that energy and stuff. Like, do you think it's the same? Do you think that she would be, scrutinized in the same way?
Yeah.
Because she identifies as a male.
Yeah. She's got a vagina.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so you're saying that even though she's a masculine female, she has a vagina no matter what.
Are you talking to somebody who's trans or just energetic wise?
No, energetic or both.
Or both.
Yeah. No, I just think as a woman, we've been conditioned a certain way. So, and I wanted to, you guys, I'm gonna get like history buff on you. I'm so sorry, but there's this book. Where did I put it? It doesn't matter. I'll find it and I'll show it to you when somebody else is talking. Okay. But it was talking about like the origins of.
What's the name of the book? Just.
The 7 Deadly Sins. The 7 Deadly Sins and the price women pay to be good. Jesus, that's a long title.
It's a long title.
It is, but it's a good book. So you were talking about the witch trials. And
okay. Yes.
Is it that one?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So basically. We've heard of the Salem witch trials, which I think like only 25 women were killed, but there was actually... Which is
astonishing. I thought it was way more, but...
It is.
Still, that's a lot.
It is. So, but in Europe...
That's right.
It was something like 50 to 80,000 women were killed.
1,000, y'all.
Wow. I never knew that.
This is how it started. So, and it's like, I don't want to get too deep into religion because I know that's a touchy topic for some people, but religion can be used as a weapon. So I'm not criticizing the belief in God or whatever, but people use that to manipulate to get the things that they want.
I think the politics of religion are a big, it's not, if you know your history, like popes used to conspire with emperors to kill other emperors, like in the Catholic Church. I grew up Catholic, so come at me.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a long-standing history, and the way the religious right plays a role in our government in the United States right now, where we're supposed to have a separation of church and state, whether you agree with it. That is what our country is founded upon. So anyway, I think you're fine to say all that because it's, I don't think anybody can argue that.
Okay, so back in the day, when the church was trying to grasp a little bit more control over people, if you believe something other than what they wanted you to believe in, then you were a bad person, right? So the other opposition at the time was like a Gnostic belief. Mm-hmm. And so the witch trials originally hunted out people who did not believe in what they believed in, right? Sorry, we had a little hiccup, guys. But originally they went off after like others. So people who are Gnostic or people who are considered others. And then the bubonic plague happened, wiped a bunch of people out. People were so scared to go. That's how the church really got to manipulate people, because people were dying off by the minute. And they're like, well, I want to make sure I go to heaven. So whatever you tell me to do, I will do it. Then they ran out of others to persecute, and the next people in line were women. But first they went after the older women, because women who are older were the wisdom keepers. They were the healers. They were the ones that passed down knowledge to younger people. So the church was like, well, if we get rid of the older women, that's, you know, dumbing down the younger women. Not dumbing down, but we just have more control over the younger women. So those women went first. Then after those women, they just started going for all sorts of women, and they started pinning women against each other. So little petty crimes, like if you were caught talking to your neighbor, you could be conspiring, you're a witch. If you were sharing remedies with your neighbor, you're a witch. Like everyday things that taught women who used to be very communal and have equal power were now separated. They were afraid to like talk to each other because they could die.
Right.
And then they'd torture you, burn you at the stake, whatever, and they'd force you to turn in other people as your co-conspirators. Your mother, your sister, your best friend. You couldn't trust anybody. And it's not like you intended to, but if someone's lighting you on fire and you want them to stop, you might just say whatever shit to get them to stop.
Yeah.
So it created this massive distrust. And the whole like keep to yourself, mind your own, mind your business. That's where that originated from. And if you believe that trauma is passed down through DNA, which I personally do, just like beliefs, that's deeply ingrained in women's DNA. And so this book theorizes that potentially maybe that's why women are so quick to distrust each other, watch each other crawl to the top and tear each other down and have no problem gossiping or thising and thatting and just not being as loyal because we don't trust each other. That's a blanket statement, by the way. But anyways, it's just talking about just the origin of so many different traumas that started. And then with the 7 deadly sins, it was just talking about, it was just a misinterpretation of lust. Like St. Augustine had a crush on some woman. He's a saint. He's not supposed to do that. And so he manipulated some words in like the Bible, if you will. And sex that was once celebrated was now deemed as like filthy, awful, sinful. And because you as a woman are tempting me as a man, you're the problem.
Right.
And so back in the day, if a man cheated on his wife, he was cool, but the girl he cheated on her with was stoned to death. Or if the man did something awful, his daughter was killed as punishment.
And that happens to this day. Like I never understood why like certain women, like if their man cheated on them, why they would come and like get at the other lady. Like how dare, and then they'll start wanting to fight the other woman.
Especially if the lady just, if she knows maybe, but a lot of times they don't.
True,
yeah, if
exactly.
they don't know.
If she knows, I get that. But still, it's just like,
be mad
girl,
at your man.
like leave her
I know,
alone.
I don't get
like
that either.
first, yes, like deal with this.
Right.
Take care of your house
Right.
before you go in somebody else's yard.
Right. So, but the point of all that, that's just one origin story. There's plenty. But the point is like these systematic beliefs were put into place once the church figured out like they wanted to have more power. So now men are the ones that are priests. And, you know, for a long time, women couldn't hold these positions of
Still
power.
can't in the Catholic Church.
Yeah. And so it's like something that's generationally been passed on and so normal that we just don't realize. And a lot of times men, because I don't want to put it on men and be like, it's your job to recognize your entitlement. But there is a certain entitlement that men carry that they don't realize. And we allow it because we don't realize.
Well, it's just so common. It's so, it's just the nature of things.
If you do realize and speak on it or just bring it up, it's exactly what you said. It's just like now you're kind of aggressive, or now you're sitting too much in your masculine. Now you're trying to start problems. Now you always want to bring something up. Now you're nagging. So depending on what it is, a lot of times we can get faulted for having these discussions, and it's like you're always trying to bring something up or da-da-da-da-da. And it's just like, but I'm also not gonna let something go that I want to talk about. Yeah,
Right.
that bothers me, and I shouldn't have to.
Right. Well, and that's the thing.
And obviously, and before I say that, there's always a way to say something too. Like I'm not champion people who are mean or who are putting people down when they're trying to talk about like things that are bothering them, or there's a way to say something. So I want to preface that, because I'm not saying like, yes, you girl, and then they're just mean and use nasty words and aren't having conversations. So it's not that, but just being able to have these conversations. Like I could see how a lot of people, women, whatever, don't feel comfortable because of what they're going to receive back.
Right. And it's because the image of a woman should be. Like from ages down, a woman should be a good girl. She should be a this. She should be.
Yeah.
Or up until we were property. Do you know what I mean? We were a man's property up until the 1970s.
That's how marriage was started as an institution.
Exactly.
It's contractual.
Exactly.
So this whole idea of fairy tale love and all that, it's not what marriage was based on at all.
No. Like, women couldn't own a credit card until the 1970s. Single women. A single woman could not get a credit card in her name, couldn't get a bank account or a mortgage. 1970s. That's in our parents' lifetime.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing was like the man worked and you stayed at home.
Parents isn't mine. I was born in 79.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the Davis
Well,
too.
Yeah, I think women could by then, but yeah.
But just the point was, it's like you were a man's property, and granted, he made the money and the woman spent the money, and that sounds like all good and fun. But it's like what you wore and how you looked, you were representing his wealth and what he's accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
You were an extension of your man.
Mm-hmm.
Only in the last few decades have we become independent, and that's when men are starting to be like, oh, women are too independent, they're trying to do it. Are we, or is it just too much power and you're a little uncomfortable with it now that we're sitting in our own and we don't necessarily need you?
Right. And I think the reason why it's a little is because there is still some women who are okay and enjoy that. Like, who are like, no, I want to, like, go ahead, you be the breadwinner. I want to be at home and spend your money, or be the housewife. You know, there's still women out there who want that, and that is like a dream, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they sit very comfortable in those positions, and that is okay. But because now there is more women standing up and being like, nah, that's not for me. Like, I'm gonna work. I think that like shift is like, oh, okay. Like, so you're not that type. Like, you're not going to accept this, but some of these will. That makes you that.
Yeah. Well, and the point is just because somebody does want to still be a stay-at-home mom doesn't mean
taken care of.
Doesn't mean that they need to stay in the position of asking for permission.
Hell
Meaning,
no.
So as a woman, a lot of times, and I'll speak for myself, but this book generalizes the conditioning of women. Like, when we want something, I don't know about you, but I find myself being like, do you mind if, could I please, would it be okay? Can we talk about this? You know, it makes me feel really uncomfortable, and you're doing a good job. Like, you know, but this is bothering me. Like, there's all this prefacing to get to the point, because you want to be gentle with a guy's feelings, because believe it or not, men do get their feelings hurt real easy. But with a dude, I don't feel like, in my experience, there's a lot of sidestepping. It's just like, this is the point. This is the point. Like, let's talk about whether it's with another male or another female. But if a woman were to take that same approach, again, that's when it's like ooh, she's a lot.
Then she's a bitch.
Yeah.
That's what she is. She's a bitch. And that's just what people say for a woman who says what she wants and goes after what she wants.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
She's not. I don't think she's a bitch. Let me prep. That's what people say.
I know.
Let me just.
That Marr.
Yeah, no.
Women are bitches.
You be a boss, bitch. That's what I say.
I think that, again, it's all in the approach. I feel like I've grown into being just my boundaries being really strong, just because I've gotten more aware of what I need to be okay, to be happier, to be a functioning human. Yeah. And so I think the more I've learned about myself, and it's like, okay, if I'm not going to be, like we've talked about, like resentful or feel shitty about myself, or, you know, I working out for us is like a mental health thing. If I'm not, to be this Val, I need to tap, you know, and knowing that about myself has made me a little bit more firm with boundaries, and with men being like, oh, I prefer this over this. But because my approach isn't aggressive, I feel like it's been accepted. I could see how if the approach is aggressive or mean or entitled, or, you know, with that kind of like, well, I'm going to tink, then that I could see how a male would then, or anybody truly, would come at that like, okay, like, I understand you need that, but you're coming in a little strong. Like, we don't need to have all this negative energy.
Right.
So the approach is everything.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
So, Matt, from a professional stance, I mean, I know you're a professional male. And not a
professional. You are a professional man.
Professional homosexual.
Who has professionally studied some therapy. But I've told Val, like, I really want to make sure we solutionize at some point in our episode. So if you are a woman who finds yourself in a position of feeling less powerful or just wanting to find your strength but not knowing where to start, what would be a good exercise or something somebody could do to find their inner power?
Well, I think the first thing that I would think of, and I think just as a male who wants to be an anti-feminist, and what's her name? Who plays Hermione Granger, the actor?
But really quick, define anti-feminist, because right off the bat, that's gonna be ring an alarm, and someone be like, "What does he mean? He wants to be an anti-feminist?"
Right, no, yeah, well, yes, but it's like I want to not anti-feminist, anti-misogynist. I guess maybe that's the term. Sorry. Usually the term like people say, so I just want to recognize that I have, we all have it. It's like racism or whatever. I have misogyny because I was raised in that culture. So it is about being aware of that. But Emma Watson talks a lot about how one of the best things for feminism that men can do and support feminist causes, men supporting women and men listening women. So, and that we can't just think of women doing all the work for it. And so my first question that I feel like as a man, the first thing I can say, I don't mean to do this, but to deflect the question to both of you, because it's about listening to women's voices. So I guess the question I would be, it's ask yourself, what can you do? Or now that or even maybe the therapist brain tells me that when you don't know the kind of history and the trauma, that can be overwhelming to take in, and it can be a lot of information, but also a lot of emotions it could feel like you're not like, how do I overcome that if this has been a historical thing? So I think my question to both of you is, knowing and learning that history, how does that affect you now in your way to try to show up as a woman in the world?
For me, I feel like knowing that is very empowering, knowing my history, and a lot of men don't know that history. So being able to share that and then being like, oh, okay. But also having the confidence in myself as a woman and being like, I deserve every much space and voice as you do. So if someone is in a space of dismissing me or my feelings, then being okay with like, either you're going to choose to learn and listen, and if not, then I can go over here and find somebody else who does respect me.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think for me, what's helped is looking at the history of just like my mom and my grandma, and just finding the things that like happened close to me before even going so deep into that history, and looking at the history of my own family and the women that are closest to me, and kind of how each one has made it better for now me, and then hopefully I'll make it better for my daughter or Liv. But
have you asked them before, like your mom, or like what have they told you stories that have happened to them?
Yeah, especially just knowing the relationship from my grandma to my grandpa, and then like seeing my mom's relationship to my dad, and then now and having just, oh my God, it's bad. And that's a whole other episode, because it's wild and it's fascinating, but seeing that and the way each one handled it better than like their, mom has helped me. And having these conversations with my mom, even after my divorce, was just like, but like so fulfilling, and it taught me so much. And I think that starting there has helped me kind of find the things that were like, oh my gosh, I love that I come from these strong women, and I'm learning the lessons that they couldn't really that it's not that they didn't learn it, but like whether it was the time that they
sometimes couldn't do it.
Right, exactly, that they grew up in, or whether it was just like kind of too late, like it's like, I've already done this for 40 plus years, like what am I going to do now, kind of thing. Which, I mean, that's a choice. It's really helped me make decisions about what's important to me, what I need as a person, as a human, to thrive in my relationships, and with self and with others.
I find it. I think to answer your question from my perspective, just in a therapist way, I think it would be find community, like, and that's just like, I thought that was such a beautiful story of just even finding your immediate community of the women around you, and if you don't have that, and you're a woman trying, like, find other community with other women or with other people that you feel like will support you, and it's because, like you were saying earlier, the whole but one of the main tenets of why misogyny has its power is when it disperses women so they can't hear each other's voices.
Yeah. And which is bringing it back to the podcast, it's being able to have these conversations and be vulnerable with each other, because I feel like you're always trying to be strong and you're trying to put this image out there that you got it all together, or maybe you don't, but like having these conversations and being like, girl, I feel you. Like, no, like, don't let that man, person, whatever, make you feel that way. Like, you go ahead and X, Y, or Z. That helps us as women.
Right.
Like, help each other and like push each other up. Like, you got this.
Yeah. And talking through, okay, so I know we have to wrap this episode soon, but like something else I had learned is like with violence, like women have a different means of quote unquote violence. We have a silent violence in that we don't physically necessarily fight each other, but because we don't know, and we're going to handle this in another episode about anger, but sometimes we don't know how to handle our anger with each other because we're taught to avoid confrontation because we're good little girls. Boys can duke it out and it's fine. Girls don't do that. They do. But instead, that's when girls disperse and then they gossip. Like they have another friend. And instead of addressing my issue with you, I go talk to my homegirl and I'm like, girl, Valerie did this thing and it was so annoying. Can you believe that? And then all of a sudden, you're in 6th grade and all your friends are not your friends anymore and you get left out. And that's just as hurtful as getting hit in the face. Mm-hmm. And it's mean. And girls do that more so than boys because, again, we're not taught how to... Mm-hmm. And so for me, as I've gotten older, I do try to, if I have some sort of issue, talk to the person. And scary sometimes too, because we're also taught fear of loss. Mm-hmm. I don't want to lose this man, so I'm not going to have a confrontation because he's not going to love me anymore. I don't want to lose my friend, so I'm going to say like a little bit and let her know, or I'm going to make a snide remark or I'm going to be sarcastic. And that's not how you handle a situation, Anyways.
Well, when you don't speak up for yourself, then what you lose is yourself.
Yeah.
Preach.
And that's hard.
Yeah. And it's important to have those kind of relationships in your life and the people that you can like, and that's so important. Like, yes, you have to be able to feel free to be able to voice all of it. The joys, the disappointments, the angers, or the little things that like may bother you or not. Like, and if you can't do that freely, like, I would reevaluate some of those relationships a little bit, just because it's to feel safe in a relationship, whether it be romantic, platonic, whatever. Family is so important and not talked about enough.
Yeah.
To feel like, oh, okay, like I can be all of me. Like, yes. You may not like the ugly parts, but you still accept them. And don't fault me for it. Yeah, it's a big deal.
On that note, I think we can get into that more in our anger episode, but we do have to wrap it up. So thank you for being back.
You're welcome. Anytime.
I love it. Thank you. Thank y'all for listening. And yeah.
We'll see you guys.
We'll see you soon. Okay, bye. Adios.